Cool. Thanks, everyone. Welcome to the Digiday Publishing Summit. This is my favorite of all of our summits that we do, mostly because our company actually started with a publishing summit. We're coming up on our 8th anniversary, and Nick began our company with this idea that a bunch of publishers are going through the same sort of wrenching change in moving from the analog era to the digital era. And so we began with that at the core. And it's also an issue that's very near and dear to my heart as a journalist, because I'm very interested, in a very self-interested way, that the media world changes for the better. So I think one of the things with Digiday we talk about that Nick mentioned is we talk about about the modernization of media and moving from point A to point B, from the analog to the digital era. And you might figure out desktop, but then you need to figure out mobile. And you might figure out text content, and then you need to figure out video. And we try to approach these things with a little bit of honesty, because there's a lot of challenges. I think we would all agree that the way the media world is set up right now sometimes doesn't work. It doesn't work for the creation of quality content, and sometimes it rewards people for not doing the right things. And so we're very open about some of the challenges, and we hope to talk about some of the challenges over the next 3 days. So I was just thinking through some of the big challenges. One would be the commoditization of display advertising. I think that train has left the station, and I think everyone is scrambling now to think about how to deal with that. Another is this shift to platforms. That's the heart of our summit, and all of the challenges that arise from that. I think we're left with a measurement system that's fairly broken. We've got ad fraud that's saying that consumers have decided that their bargain of ad-supported media is no longer valid to them. There is any number of pressures on publishers to change their businesses. So we're going to talk about all of that, but we hope to talk about solutions, because everyone is facing the same challenges, and part of getting everyone together is to do just that. So I just want to go through some of the main things that we were thinking about when we were putting together the event. So the first thing was that it's a platform world, and publishers are just living in it. I sometimes think of publishing nowadays as sort of like being the villagers in Game of Thrones, because all the action is taking place with these giant house of Baratheon and Targaryen, and then the villagers are just kind of like underneath getting killed. And sometimes it seems that way in publishing, because we've got gigantic platforms that are fighting this battle at a totally different level, and that the big fear is that publishers will be left behind, that they'll be casualties of all this. So I think we have several sessions today. Kim Lau is going to be up from Atlantic to talk about their experience with instant articles. We had some good discussion at the town hall about instant articles and AMP, and we're going to have more of that when it comes to Snapchat and other platforms with how publishers can thrive in this world. The other one is one that I strongly believe in, at least we believe here at Digiday, is that differentiated and meaningful brands still matter. After this, I'm going to bring up Philip Van Boris, who is the co-founder and CEO of Refinery 29. And we're going to talk about this very subject, because one of the things that the media world has seen in the last several years is people amass gigantic audience numbers, often through mastering audience development on Facebook. And the question now is whether or not those same people can translate that into not just revenue, but meaningful, lasting brands. Because at the end of the day, I think a lot has changed, and a lot of the tactics have changed. But the people that are going to really thrive are those who have built meaningful and differentiated brands. So that's going to be something that Philip and I are going to talk about. Justin Smith, the CEO of Bloomberg Media, is going to be here tomorrow, and we're going to talk about that too. And I know it's going to come up repeatedly. The other one is that video is everywhere. I think when we're talking, we heard this in the town hall, and Philip and I are going to be talking about it. Video now is absolutely necessary, and all publishers, whether or not they are native to video or whether they're new to it, are pouring lots of resources into video. It is still the best way to tell stories. It is still the best way to connect with people. And by the way, it is not yet commoditized like display advertising. So I think when the conversation is about banners and boxes, that's sort of missing the big opportunity, which oftentimes is in video. We have Brian Sugar here from Pop Sugar. He's going to talk about how they built a really big video distribution business, at least on Facebook. And now the question for Pop Sugar is, and hopefully he will answer that, if not I will ask him, is how do you make money off of that? We're going to talk a lot about Snapchat. We've got Food Network here. We've got Daily Mail here about their experiences of building video on those platforms. And it's going to come up again and again. And Video Everywhere is also, it just so happens to be the name of our next summit, which is April 10th to 12th, and you should all go to it. And if you're interested in sponsoring it, you should see Paul Borselli. He's dressed in mountain casual with a turtleneck. You'll know him when you see him. The other one is the user experience is king. We just finished a publishing summit in Europe, and it was amazing how much ad blocking was at the top of the conversation there. We had people from Poland who were talking about 38% ad block rates. In Germany, they're over 30%. Now, it's not as big of an issue here, but I think what's happening with ad blocking is a symptom, not a disease. And the real disease is the fact that the interests of the users are completely torn apart from the interests of advertisers. And I think publishers are trapped in this really bad bargain in which, in order to make money, they have to do things that their users hate. And I don't think that's a long-term strategy. To talk about that, we have Shailesh Prakash, who's here, who's CTO of Washington Post, and Shailesh is not here. They do violate some of these things with their experience sometimes. But I know in talking with him on our podcast that top of mind for him and when he talks with Jeff Bezos is how they can actually serve the needs of their advertisers and still have a great experience. So they're going to be, he and Lucia Moses are going to be up here talking about that and some other issues. And the last thing is that old brands can learn new tricks. A few years ago, I think some of the conversations that we were having in the town hall would have been ones that the older brands would not have. And instead, we had Reader's Digest, who is going to be up here, talking about their experiences with AMP, their experiences with Instant Articles. And the fact is that a lot of the digital native publishers got a head start on a lot of these tactical fronts, and now that's broadly distributed. And so we're going to have a lot of talk from, when we talk about modern brands, we don't think that that is digital versus traditional. So we have a good mix of digitally native brands, like Refinery 29, and very traditional brands, like The Atlantic, like Reader's Digest. So that is what we thought of when we put together the program. Nick had mentioned that we do put a big emphasis on moving from attendees to participants. And so I just want to give you my quick 5 ways that you can easily participate, in case you were wondering. First way, speak up at the town halls. We had about 5 to 7 MVPs in the town hall. We'll see tomorrow, after everyone eases into it, gets used to the altitude. These are great opportunities to share some of the things on your mind because they're probably on other people's minds. So please do speak up at the town halls. The other thing is to ask a question during sessions, or better yet, present a counterpoint. We're going to have microphones, and it's always good. I know I'm going to be up here plenty, trust me, asking questions. So I would love for other people to be asking questions too. And please do so, because that makes the sessions more valuable. The other thing is to make a point to talk to people you don't know. I think a lot of times people come here and they see people they know and they hang out with them. But there's a lot of great, as Nick said, we have a lot of great publishers, a lot of great technology providers here. We try to have structured and unstructured ways for people to connect. Connecting people is at the heart of what these events are about. So please do that. The other one is please do use our hashtag Digiday DPS. It helps to other people. We're live streaming this, so that's a good way for people to find this content. And the other thing, which leads into my final point, is that you can add a challenge to the challenge board, and you can do that right now. So these are our Digiday challenge boards. They're a very central role to our events. What they allow is they allow us to have a sort of anonymous view of the big challenges facing publishers and tech providers right now. So I want you to think right now of a challenge. It can be anything, and you do not have to put your name on it. Please don't actually put your name on it, because they're better without names. And please only one challenge per sticky pad. We have these magnets in the back that look like Post-it notes, but they're actually magnets, and this is actually magnified, so you will be able to put it on there and it will stick, assuming that the magnetic paint worked. So we have them at stations in the back. There are Sharpies and there are these magnets, and I want you just to come up with what is a big challenge that you're facing, either internally or externally. It can be about metrics. It can be about bosses not getting it. It can be about too many tech providers. It can be anything. And write it down. Again, you don't have to put your name on it. And please place it up here based off of your viewpoint. So if you're a publisher and your problem is with technology providers, it would actually go on the publisher's board, not on the technology provider's board, because this allows us to sort of separate the two, because they come at things with very different viewpoints. And then we're actually going to organize. Sahil Patel, our lead video reporter, is here, and he is eagerly waiting to attack those boards and organize them into big trends, and then we're going to actually use them throughout the rest of this event. So we're going to play the Digiday Challenge Board music, and then I'm going to ask you and cajole you to go to the back, fill out 1, 2, or 3 of these different magnets, and then place them up here based on whether you're a publisher or a technology provider. So now if we could have the Challenge Board music. Again, just go to the back. Does anyone know the song? That is People's Court. Yes. Someone who was alive in the 80s. Sahil has no idea what this is. Go ahead, don't be shy. Everyone's just sitting here on this side. Please join in the fun. Of course you're going to be the first. First challenge is up on the board. And it fell. Yeah. Yeah, you got to press it. I know. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. You can just press them to make sure they stick. Yeah, there you go. With authority. All right, now we're starting to get some. Good momentum. God. Oh my God. Don't worry, we'll get them up. What?
They're falling off, not sticking.
Yep. Don't worry, we'll fix them. We'll get them up there. Sahil, that's going to be a new part of your job. Making sure that the challenge board magnets stick to the challenge board. Yes, it is People's Court theme. Yeah, it's actually an elaborate joke to see if you can get it to stick. It is. Execution is another. Sahil, if we have to glue them to it, we are going to get these to stick. Get the staple gun. Okay. Embarrassing. Okay, a couple more minutes. I know we've had some sticking problems. We're going to fix them. Okay. Nice job. Way to get it stick. Okay. Okay. We have a blank challenge. Oh. We'll get a glue gun. Okay, if everyone, final minute for a challenge. I know there was some issues with adherence. We'll fix it. Okay, thank you everyone, thank you. We're going to organize this and get them all stuck. We're on our way. Thank you, Lucia and Sahil, for stepping in. Final challenge. Okay, if everyone can get back to your seats. You know, it's always dangerous. People want to get up and connect. But we are going to kick things off. So I'm very happy. You know, I talked about building meaningful brands and new digital brands. And I think one of the more exciting of the crop of new digital media brands